Okay. Okay, no worries.
This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud naming rights partner of the Waffle and the WAFLW, the rear-wheel drive V6 twin-turbo Kia Stinger. Simply Energy, proudly supporting WA footy. And the West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams.
Slice of history here at Fremantle Oval. Waffle women's action for 2020 just about to begin with South Fremantle into the competition for the first time. They take on the reigning premiers East Fremantle. Dave Lindsay and Clint Degerot, your commentary team, as we're timed our arrival perfectly. And the Bulldogs get us underway. The kick through Lauren Vecchio up towards half forward. Selby competing for the footy. Slips out the back. The Sharks, with about half of their premiership team from last year in action here again this afternoon. No AFLW players in the early stage of the season, but the Sharks 383 men's waffle derbies played before the first women's waffle derby between the South Fremantle and East Fremantle sides. Normally Degger's pretty fiery in the men's game. Will we expect the same sort of action out here this afternoon in the women's?
think the new kids on the block might get a little a push and a shove from last year's premiership winners. It was really nice to see a young player there, Ellie Sanders for South Fremantle, jump up and take that early chest intercept. Unfortunately, just turned it over. We've got a bit of a scrap on the centre wing. No, I think both teams will be pretty polite to each other. It'll just be a bit of a feel round one. Things got stroppy in the Subi Clermont game towards three-quarter time last night. We'll see how this game unfolds.
So 2 matches earlier in the weekend in the Waffle Women's to start things off. Wins to Subiaco over Claremont, and Swan Districts defeated Peel as the Sharks look to go inside 50 for the first time. Catalano long towards full forward, and Lewis, a former line at the top of the goal square, takes a strong mark. And the Sharks should get the first score on the board down towards the old hospital end here at Fremantle Oval.
Quick chat to Nikki Harwood, and she talked about Sarah Lewis being a focal point for the Sharkies, but how quick they were too. Mentioned Catalano's speed, and some speed on the football then really was allowed Lewis to do her job at the top of the square.
Sarah Lewis, who was part of Subiaco's team last year that made their way through the regular season quite nicely, tripped up in the finals. Unfortunately, she gets her start to her East Fremantle career off with a bang with a goal. So the first goal on the board after 2 minutes to East Fremantle. Quarters now 20 minutes in WAFLW for this year. Just a straight 20, no time on. And the Sharks have the first.
It's a little spread kick. She's clever by foot. South Fremantle upbeat though, pushing and shoving in the back six. They're 1v1. Back in the centre circle too. Of course, getting the first clearance of the first ever derby too with South Fremantle. So can go forward quickly from the stoppage.
So it's a 6-team competition this year. Last year, just the 5 teams, so there was a bye involved. Teams play each other once and then another 2 rounds to get through the 7 home and away games. And then a final series to follow, grand final in September for the women's competition. Like most sports around the world, really, delayed due to COVID, but great to see some action as this ball's going to go out of play right in front of our broadcast position. And that will be a free kick going the way of South Fremantle, or the umpires are going to have a discussion, in fact, to see whether it was touched by anybody. Quite a long discussion. And it will be a South Fremantle free kick after all of that. The boundary umpire seemed pretty convinced, I reckon, Dex. Field umpire just wanted to confirm.
Wanted to check what the rules were. Remember them from so long ago.
Silcock with that free kick. Gained some ground for her side. East Fremantle skipper today, Tinson, with the footy. Lays it off to Plushke. Short pass through the fingertips of Sprullin. South Fremantle holding the Sharks at bay for the moment. Sprullin comes through with a clean pickup. Nice little hand pass off to Wong. Uses it, not quite as well as I thought initially. Spark had it go over her head. Lewis slaps it on. No supporters yet, although the umpire says that Lewis was pushed in the back. And she will get a free kick directly in front of goal, about 40 metres out when she puts boot to ball.
Bad free kicker then. I think young Sparks was just about to launch onto that one, and she's got very, very good feet. So Lewis got a thumping kick. This is well within her range. She's very, very good when her head noses over her toes. Can lean back at different times.
Just did the Matthew Lloyd as well. Blade of grass in the air. Bit of artwork on the legs. Already has one to her name. Makes good contact with this, but aims it away towards the pocket. It clears the head of Riley and goes out of play. Looking forward to seeing Chloe Riley out there. One of the players through the State Academy in the summer.
Yeah, terrifically improved player, and she's been really nurtured by the Sharks coaching staff and the club and environment, and she's committed to her fitness and very clever footballer. Again, keep talking about these Sharkies being good by foot, but Chloe Riley is another clever player by foot.
That was a nice dish off, and the snap on goal won't quite have the carry off the boot of Gomes. And South Fremantle able to deny this attack. So pulling out that they have a team in WAFLW. Short pass to the skipper of the Bulldogs in Vecchio. She uses it well on the lead, unable to hold the mark as Holtz. Close to the boundary. They keep it in for regathering possession. Under a lot of pressure. Good tackle, Tinson. Nearly turns the ball over. East Fremantle might be able to win this one away, although that was a fine tackle as well from the Bulldogs coming from Brianne Spencer. See a ball up at half forward for East Fremantle. Broadhurst goes to ground. Bowie takes clean possession. Got some sort of a hand pass away. That was thrown out by the Dogs. Umpire on the other side didn't see that. Hand pass over the top from Vecchio. Chance for Selby, but she was dispossessed. Nicely done by Versace to a dangerous position. Juggled attempt. No mark taken. Turley. Just worried out of it there. Good tackle from Ross. Hack kick forward from Spencer. Doesn't clear the area. They pile on top of Versace, and we'll see another ball up.
Struggling at the moment. Just trying to shape handball through some traffic. Just a bit, maybe lacking a bit of confidence. The Bulldogs just to thump the ball by foot, and although they do that now, might be coming back the other way through O'Donnell.
Played such a good grand final last year. Hayley O'Donnell.
Move of the day from a coach that's no longer at the Sharkies. Ellie Lampkin.
Had a huge part in shutting down Gemma Houghton, who was expected to be the difference between the two sides, but the Sharks had quite the day out winning that grand final. Half-time today, we'll see a little highlights package of that day when they defeated Swans by over 4 goals. And a real highlight for women's footy in WA, the grand final being played live on TV around WA and at a fine facility out there at Mineral Resources Park, Lathlane Park. Bulldogs into their attacking half just the second time today. Juggled attempt from Norrish for East Fremantle. Controlled the ball well. Kicks to a dangerous position. Important one-on-one here. Overrun, though, by the Bulldogs. And coming out of defence, East Fremantle clear through Prentice. Her kick wasn't well directed. Wong does nicely. Made the tackle. Socket to her own advantage and then collects the footy. High down the line. In fact, it was Sprullin rather than Wong. Spark is there. She's knocked over. Still down for a little while, Spark, holding her head. Umpire calls for the footy.
Tash Vaughan-Taylor used to play at the Sharks. Tash Vaughan-Taylor wearing number 17 for South. Player that should feature all season on a wing for the Bullies. Might be starting at half-back today, but a league quality player, I think, Tash.
Broadhurst in the ruck, palmed it down nicely. Couldn't quite connect with the runner going by in Vecchio. Time for a boundary throw-in. The boundary umpire walks it in 10 steps. Shut down pretty quickly. Nice hand pass from Bird. Gives an opportunity to Tinson to move her side forward. Riley being hassled there by Vaughan-Taylor. Ball comes out the back. Silcock over it. Gets it away. Quick kick from Bickmore. Didn't really want it to go towards centre half forward for the Sharks. Ross was hard at the footy. Took it with her and then slung to ground. Umpire says play on. Little tap there from Versace. Ball nearly came back to her. South Fremantle defence holding firm, but again the clearing kick read well by O'Donnell. Got a player breaking away towards left half forward in plenty of space. That's ignored. And now the player from the Bulldogs has gone over the mark. And that will be a 50-metre penalty.
Bit excited, Karapetkov. Heard that first whistle, which is always the move it on, and just attacked on that area. Interesting for O'Donnell. The last opponent that she played on was Gemma Houghton, and Karapetkov. She gets to play on Karapetkov today, so Jamie will have to have her hands full, I guess, making sure she can represent the Bulldogs ahead of the ball on such a good defender. And that's a terrific mark down back overhead in contest from Spencer.
Clearing kick to the pocket, good as well. Gets it to Vecchio. Little chip pass for Roden Zimdal. It's very much stop-start play from the Bulldogs. Now a bit of run from Roden Zimdal. Sidesteps Riley comfortably. And kicks close to the line. Selby needs to get a touch to this one. She doesn't. And that's not much of a lasso signal, to be fair, from the boundary umpire. We want more from our boundaries, Deg. We saw it last year. They were excellent with that lasso signal. That was a half-arm lasso.
Maybe just getting used to that new signal. Bent front knees really attractive too during the lasso signal.
Any kick that goes out of play between the arcs, whether it's on the bounce or on the full, is a free kick to the other side. Boundary throw-in only coming when it comes off hands or if the umpire can't decide which team put the ball out of play. Good attack on the football coming through there, Trippy. Now Bird, high kick, gets them inside 50 metres. Juggled attempt. The umpire spotted some holding in the contest. Looks as though Riley's given away the free kick to Spencer. Short pass to Roden Zimdal, who, if we had a look at her heat map, I reckon it's bright red at left half back at the moment. Roden Zimdal doing all of her work right in front of the old Fremantle Footy Club.
Really playing skinny, aren't they, at the moment, the Bullies? So doing a lot of work to get the ball halfway and then seeing it come back in. And it's going to go back in through the skipper of the Sharkies, Tinson.
Kick to half forward. Big leap from behind. Unable to reel that one in, Lewis. Now the pack develops and the umpire will call for a ball up. So women's footy down at Fremantle Oval, sprinkling of spectators around the ground and a few in the members' pavilion as well. the men's derby didn't exactly go the way that I'm sure the Waffle was hoping for in terms of a tight contest, but the Sharks on that occasion not able to get the victory. The Bulldogs too good, so the women's side for East Fremantle will be expecting to reverse that result today and to play for another boundary thrown in front of the South Fremantle bench.
Nice little drive there from Dawson Gibbs, just trying to go through. But again, really short handball, so transferring pressure rather than breaking open play or getting any clearance at the moment. But feeling their way and would feel that they've engaged in league footy at the moment.
So Bowie in the ruck against Broadhurst. Broadhurst with front position wins it down to the front. A one-on-one roll on top of the footy. Lily Bird gets up holding the ball. Has to give it back to the umpire. Same two rucks go at it again. Bowie takes clean possession. Doesn't get it away though. And South might be able to break away here, although that was short-lived. Upended was Turley. Now East Fremantle to break. Kakamo. Little chip sets up Versace. She puts it out in space in front of Lewis. Had the jumper tugged. That'll be a free kick to Sarah Lewis. Wants to centre the ball this time. Good option. And Bowie, going to her knees, takes the mark. Probably just beyond her this distance. She won't have a shot anyway. She's laid it off, and that's a good pass. Getting up on the lead of Spark.
Yeah, so this is a goal.
Put it down?
Put it down now. No, she can kick Sparks, and she's done a lot of work on it at the craft, at forward work and craft, and she's clever. And like in the grand final last year, I think she got a couple in the grandy last year. She just did her work and finished. Sorry, did her job and finished all the work that she'd put on the board. So ride this one in with that.
He has struck it well too. It spun perfectly off the boot. And the first two goals of the game going the way of East Fremantle. Stephanie Spark adding her name to the goal kickers list. You're right, she did kick two in the grand final with Roxy Root. Will we get to see much of Roxy in Waffle Women's this year, Degs?
And the issue with those 18s players that were drafted into the competition and then into the AFLW competition and then played is they had a break in 18, 20 months. So they've sort of racked up sort of 35, 40 games in a very, very short period of time. So the chance to take an extended break and freshen them up is probably too tempting. I wouldn't expect we'd see much from Roxy in this season.
So we will see some of the AFLW girls coming back into the competition from next week, I understand, and then at various stages of the season. It's always good to see that top-end talent come through the WAFLW as well. Tight contest in at the centre bounce again. Bowie with a little hand pass. East Fremantle, all their numbers just behind the ball, looking to work their way through. A kick towards the wing. Catalano taking the mark. Lobs this one to half forward. Lewis has been active coming out of that attacking 50. She's taken another mark on the chest. Play on's the call. Chip over the top to Riley. Can't quite hang on to this one just inside the boundary. Fumbles it over. Boundary throw in.
Chloe Taylor's been moved on to Lewis. Probably South's most experienced defender. Played football, league footy back in the Waffle competition when South Fremantle still had a league side in that. And a bit of state footy, bit of 23s footy. She's a famous, I think she might have even been in the 18s premiership side under Michelle Cowan some years back. So knows her way around the back line. Probably the correct matchup for Lewis at this stage. The ball goes surged forward by South Fremantle, but it's going back towards East Fremantle's goal again.
Alston, who just came on to replace Lewis, was dragged down with the football. Umpire called play on. Might have to call for a ball up now. Gomes with the zinc across the nose. It's about 12 degrees out there, Dex. I know your son's smart. Would you be having the zinc on today?
I guess it's part of Gomes' routine, so let's back her that she gets that right. She prepares professionally each week, so and she just works a back feed handball into the V here to try and get another surge forward. But unfortunately, it stacks on again. Although it skirted out to East Fremantle, have gone forward 50.
Long ball in the Versace direction. Brilliant mark in from the side from the Bulldogs. And it's been taken again by Spencer.
Pressed by Spencer so far.
That was a great contested mark. Happy to take a bit of body contact. Speaking of body contact, strong bump there, and then the soccer off the ground clears the area for South Fremantle. Bowie just worked off the line of the football. Hand pass comes out. Turley's kick gains 20 metres. O'Donnell being worked off the football. She fights back hard. Hayley O'Donnell now on top of the ball. Ball pings around for a little while. No one can get a clean possession. Hard one to win with so many players around the football. Eventually Catalano does. Goes with the outside of the boot. Gets it up towards about 60 metres out from goal. Nice little move there from Holtz. Comes back inside on the left boot and worked it well. Showed some good composure there just to control the football. South again playing safe down the line through Cocking. And hits up her target close to the boundary again in Vaughan Taylor.
Dalby with a fly.
That was a good lead, wasn't it?
That was 4 or 5 deep there.
In again, high kick, but turns it over. And East Fremantle should be able to set something up here from the middle of the ground. Kakamo didn't direct that one well, and Adams worked away in front of her opponent to take a good mark. Now the switch is on. South will find some space on our broadcast side. They'll get it moving quickly. Hurd with the football. Where's the next option, though? They're all covered. East Fremantle covering an opponent each, making it very hard, and that's forced the errant kick, and Norwich takes it comfortably at half-back.
Made her name intercept marking in the defence for the Sharks over the last couple of years, and it's an aggressive kick into the midfield. It's just starting to construct something interesting there as Gomes takes this ball away and surges back towards East Fremantle's half-forward line. Plenty of numbers from South, shoved in the back, or Superman dive across. The handball spills through to Sprillian, over the top to... Oh, it's been intercepted now by Spencer, who goes long and wide and should be able to connect it half-forward. Bit of a space to run, looking longer down the ground, but East Fremantle front position again. Spills out the back, though, somehow. Need a runner, hanging off to Selby. She coughed it up straight away, had to. Is immediately in a tackle. Norwich at the bottom of the pack. Selby again, trying to drive this ball forward. It's Bowie as a ruckman doing a fantastic job back there to help out. Ends up back in the hands of Norwich from O'Donnell. South's a chance to get a second repeat entry. Just marking around with it a little bit in the centre of the ground. Driving her legs and trying to come through. Ends up in the hands of Wong. Series of handballs through Brilliant. Into Burton's hands, who has a carry. Looks to connect. Looking for... Is that Bowie deep? No, it's Alston. Picked up again by South Fremantle. Being ridden hard by Stephanie Spark, who did her job again as a small forward to try and lock that ball in.
Definitely providing something up forward for East Fremantle is Spark. Already has a goal, so too Lewis. They're the only scores of the game so far. Spencer tries to work away through some heavy traffic and did it well. Got the kick away, and the mark's been taken by Cocking. She too wants to switch. Roden Zimdale the target. Takes on the bounce, but she's immediately tackled by Ross. And that was a good little contest. Ross wasn't letting her get through. And we'll see a ball up. Alston doing the ruck work this time. Nice palm down with the left hand, but the high tackle has been applied. South Fremantle will get a free kick. Will be taken there by Lauren Vecchio. Got a couple of black armbands on her left bicep today. Selby dropped the mark, then nearly ran straight back into Chloe Riley. Kick on the turn, diving in Alston, couldn't take the mark. Players pile on top. We'll see a ball up. So South Fremantle player down behind the play. Is that Roden Zimdale?
Yeah, just twisted up in that tackle. Had a number of injuries over the last couple of years, so probably, hopefully, just a little bit of nerves rather than any serious concerns at the moment. Umpire might have to call a stop to play. Oh, it's gone past his pack, so in the hands again of Burton. Chopped off beautifully by South Fremantle. Tried to pump it down the line, not 15. Play on. Nice little spin or attempt to spin and a solid tackle. The umpire says that he will give everyone a chance to start again. Who was that in that tackle?
Sanders. So siren sounds to end the first quarter. And it's been a fascinating little duel. South Fremantle been able to hold firm against the Sharks. East Fremantle far stronger on paper, of course, coming into this game, even with a number of players missing from their premiership side. But as it is, they've only managed to put 2 goals on the board in the first quarter. It's the Sharks by 12 points at quarter time in the WAFLW round 1.
All the great teams have many things in common. That ability to deliver when it counts. That certain style about the way they do things. That ongoing quest to be the best.
Goes back to back.
And at Kia, that team mantra is everything. We're proud to support the WAFL and proud to offer Australia's best 7-year warranty. Because with Kia, we've got your back.
Sorry. We're just waiting.
It's funny.
Dad!
Party purpose.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Quarter time in WAFLW round 1. Marty Atkins at the back in the black jacket, just giving a tap to Demi Broadhurst, who was in the ruck. And I guess Marty Atkins would be a pretty good person to give Demi a few tips. Played over 200 games for South Fremantle, a real stalwart of the Bulldogs. He's back here in a very important role in administration in the club now. Meanwhile, the Sharks getting their instructions as well. You can see Evie Gooch, their premiership captain from last year, wearing the pink runners outfit. Dave Lindsay alongside Clint Degebrot. And I reckon if Evie Gooch was running out to give you a message, Degs, you'd probably listen.
I can say with no uncertainty that Evie Gooch could deadlift me. And knows a fair bit more about footy than I do, and certainly played at a high level. No, wonderful that they have players like Evie come down and obviously do some of these match day roles, which is terrific. You probably really struggle to keep her away from the Sharks as well. Made this place her home over the last couple of years. Pretty good start from the Sharkies. I thought they've tried to construct some ball movement forward. They used a spread handball. They sort of orientated themselves a bit further apart than potentially the Souths did enjoy Souths. Started to exit on the V and try to get connected in midfield and started to look to threaten that forward 50 line. So hopefully those little switches that the Bullies just started to try, they'll continue to do so. But of course, once you get the ball inside 30 metres of the East Fremantle team, there's a couple of players down there that are very hard to stop. Spark one of those. Riley down there too with some sure boots. You've got Lewis to take some big catches as well, and that's without talking about Catalana or the other girls that run through that front end there too, with Sprillian also a noted goal kicker. So pretty well done by South to hold up what the Sharks were trying to do. Hopefully there's some counter-attacking the Bulldogs, otherwise the Sharks will really start to bust the place open, I think.
2 goals straight to no score at quarter time. So just the 2 scores in that first term, with East Fremantle's goals coming through Lewis and Spark. South Fremantle, you'd expect, Eggs, they would have had plenty of enthusiasm running out the first game in club history for WAFLW, and hopefully for them they can maintain that. That's going to be the danger as the game wears on, is as that enthusiasm starts to disappear and possibly a couple of goals pile up in the other direction. Sometimes the damn wall can break, so let's hope that for the contest's sake, the Bulldogs stay up and about for the afternoon.
Yeah, they just need a connection in the front of the box now. So they've worked out their exit, they've worked out their switch, they've got some connections in the midfield. Now it's just time to get connected in that launch pad area or carry the ball through and see if we can get some deep entries. Because I think once you get the ball long and deep, you've got to get it over. You've got to get it over Jibby Norrish because she's just too clever. So you've actually got to get it over the top of her. Once you get over the top of her, you give yourself a little chance at a goal on the run. But fitness and experience. It's a young East Fremantle side, and there's plenty of players out there that are playing, or they're not playing in their 50th league game. So it's a chance for the Bullies to really stand up to the Sharks today.
This is the third game of round 1. Yesterday, Swan Districts came from behind to defeat Peel, and Subiaco did the same against Claremont. Both games, the margin around. So a nice tight start to the season. Are you expecting any team to stand out in 2020, or is it you as well?
Yeah, a little bit of movement. Probably need to see a little bit more yet. There's some players playing reserves football at different clubs that will be playing league at others. At different times, a couple of extra players have been released. That's all confidential at this stage. There's rumours flying around that there's a couple of extra players that will be able to get a couple of games in. So some clubs really starting to look like they might be strong in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Of course, they've got to time their games. They're allowed to play the Fremantle girls, or the Fremantle girls are released. They'll play 4 games. So 4 of 8, which ones are they? How do you manage your body? So of course, the Fremantle girls today unavailable altogether because they've been presented at the Derby to the crowd there in appreciation of their efforts in their seasons. And I guess recognising what might have been for Freo.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Fremantle, obviously finishing the season undefeated, but no flag to show for it with the unfortunate way the season finished, and I guess the AFL probably had no other real way to decide a winner for the season.
This is almost my favourite part of footy, when you just leave the umpire. What is the timekeeper's job? There we go.
Just got to press the button.
Yep.
Normally got the air raid siren here at Fremantle Oval. There it is.
That's excellent discipline by the ump too. Just held his ground.
So we're away in the second quarter. East Fremantle attacking the left of screen. Broadhurst, obviously listed by a couple of Bulldogs. We'll see another ball up, and that Bulldog that copped the tackle from Ross is still down and hurt, hasn't moved about 15 metres to the right of this contest. We can see on our screen. It looked like a leg injury late in the first quarter. She was carried off during the quarter time break. It'll work from Burton to slap it forward. Now the tackle from Versace holds the ball in.
But her and Spencer teaming up nicely down there.
Tossed in the air. Lewis does the ruck work down to Versace off a step, snaps on goal. Goal umpire trips through the mud down there. It's not the easiest place to do the goal umpiring. The mud underneath the shelter down there at the Parry Street end, but behind is registered.
Bit of Game of Thrones in the boots there. Come out with dry boots, and he's going to do his whole job in wet boots. There's a nice connection to young Carly Hunt, who's playing the first league game. Captain of the Rogers Cup team last year, narrowly just turned it straight over to Kokomo. Looks to go long. Lewis is on a searching lead. She's had to double back. Put her hands in. Is Gaza, short for Gazelle, showing those skills now as Sparks trucks this ball towards the line. Pop handball over the top's okay. In the hands of Tinson. She tries to pull it around the corner. Just gets it a little shallow. Nice defensive play from the Sharks, who owning that perimeter at the moment.
South Fremantle player that was injured earlier is being escorted off the ground. I think it's Turley. Got a couple of trainers assisting her from the field as the Bulldogs bring this one back in. Adams with the kick. Goes very wide. Just inside the line. Yes, mark has been taken by Brianne Spencer. Been one of their best.
Was actually paid by Kakamo there. Or Kakamo. I have to check on that.
Spencer forced to go down the line. No other options there, and just demanding front position was Plushke. Took the mark, copped some treatment, would have been a free kick anyway. It's quite a crowded attacking 50. Lewis gives a lead towards the corridor. That's the direction the kick goes, and Lewis is sneaking in the back of this one. She crashes into her opponent. Umpire says that was all okay. That could have been a free kick. In fact, it is. Tinson with the head down over the football. Copped some high contact.
She's causing him trouble at the moment because she's powering her legs through the stoppages. At the moment, the Bully's just a bit slow to get the ball off the deck, and Tinson's really sprinting hard, and she's forcing the South Fremantle players to sort of be a bit more worried about her. She's got a couple of free kicks now, and she's split a couple of packs open too. She's a solid kick of the footy.
Well, she had 4 or 5 leads come at her from the goal square. She ignored all of them, thought that she had the distance within her, and unfortunately her kick has sprayed away to the left. It did bounce just inside the line, and because we're inside 50, it'll be a boundary throw-in.
Great captaincy. Just get a forward half stoppage or forward 50 stoppage. Of course, this ball's been brought in 10 metres and thrown to the top of the square.
Right. It's not a bad spot, is it?
Where Kim Bowie will attempt a Rosie Walsh, who snapped it Tommy Hawkins-like out of the ruck and threw it in.
Yeah, we saw Rosie do some damage in the Rezzies in that same situation.
But this has worked out a little better for the Bullies, although O'Donnell's owning the perimeter. She plays on immediately and is pushed off the kick. Umpire thought about holding the ball, but there's no tackle. That's Jamie Karapetkov trying to work the ball out in the hands of another defender from South, who's turned it over to the middle of the ground, stepping inside. Good pressure from Hurd. Spits the ball out, and Hurd's rewarded. So Janelle Hurd in the centre of the ground doesn't have too many choices. She can come this side towards the commentary box. She's held it some time now. Is going to be forced to go long down the line or long up the middle. Really suits the defence as Norwich comes and double fists the ball through. Paddled back towards by South Fremantle. Kim Bowie, defensive ruck work, doing well. Tackled off the footy by Shay Selby, who licked her lips as she saw that she had blindsided Danielle Trippi.
I remember if they managed to get it inside 50 in the first quarter. They got close a couple of times. It might be just about as close as they've been so far today. Bowie standing up in the 2-player tackle. Eventually thrown to ground, and the umpire will have to separate them. 2 behinds this quarter to East Fremantle. No score to the Bulldogs. Playing 20-minute flat quarters in WAFLW. Extra couple of minutes in each quarter this year. WAFLW going up in time. Every other footy competition around Australia going down, but good to see some more action for the girls.
I think it's entirely appropriate to add a couple of minutes onto the game, only playing 80-minute quarters last year. And, of course, with straight time, the quarters do spill out really quickly. There's an inside 50 now for South Fremantle, although it looks to be Plushke coming away with the football. Handballs to Wong, gets it back again. Nice little 1-2, drives the line towards Riley. Riley gets her hands on it. Nearly a clever mark overhead. And she'd already had a little look to see if she could go on with that. Nice aggressive play from the youngster. Of course, she did play in the grand final last year too, I think, Riley. Or maybe she played in a couple of games in the lead up. So just blooding the young player. Got a lot to offer. I think there was Plushke coming off the half-back line. Might have even been Tinson. It's Bowie taking front spot. She palms it down to Versace. Clean hands and drives the ball forward. Neat work again by Riley. Just pulled off the football at the last minute. She's got it again. Back feed's good. Little handball from Sprillian to herself attempted. Tugged on the jumper. She's driving the line now. Versace can clear a path, although Sprillian leads Versace, who gives it back. Going forward towards Lewis now. She's got all the space and time in the world, and she just reels in. And a little slide there just to make it all look a little bit better than it was. She wants to play on quickly. Umpire's now called that. She's put a bit of pressure on herself. She just drops the ball back to Sprillian, who isn't paid the mark because it's not gone 15. South with the chance to rebound.
Sharks will keep it in, though. Bird, high up and under. Lewis is the target again. She's a step or two just off the pace. Hunt stood her ground well, and then the clearing kick coming out from Vaughan Taylor towards the boundary. I'll be happy with a throw in here, and that's exactly what they get. Desperate, sprawling effort close to the line by Adams. Makes sure that it's a boundary throw in. Now Lewis has got some problems. The physio's charging onto the field to check out her left wrist, it appears.
Well, I think she might be pointing at a finger.
So, trying to get her to form a fist, looking at the close-up we got just there. Bulldogs can work this away. Sanders, high kick down the line, attacking it well. Good mark, Trippy. Could have easily taken her off the football with Felton coming back quite hard in the opposite direction. That's an interesting kick and worked out all right, although the mark was dropped by Sprillian. Good recovery. Hand pass back to Trippy. Left foot kick just a little shorter than what she would have liked. And the Bulldogs are able to take the relieving mark at half-back. Taken there by Hunt. Again, straight back down the line. Sanders more than happy to take a leap at the football. She's done that probably 2 or 3 times so far this afternoon. Good hard ball one there by Bird. Kick inside is clever. Coming off the boot of Catalano. Now Gomes with a chance. Wants to sidestep both opponents. She's caught by the second, held a long time. Umpire said, play it on. Got the hand pass away just in time. Vecchio chops it off for South Fremantle. And they need a clearing kick, and that's exactly what they get into the middle of the ground, and it's been marked by Felton.
Trying to go fast here, it looks like South Fremantle. Using the front of the box again. Just massing numbers now. Random handball forward. Hasn't done a captain any real favours at all. With Norris, she's got the ball. She's clearing it forward under pressure, of course. It's going to fall between 3 Sharks. The bounce brings a couple of Bulldogs into the game. Coming off the lines, Versace, and she just finds a player who feeds it off to, it looks like Kokomo again. The hands now with the Bulldogs. Just all a bit messy at the moment. Lots of South around this ball. We can just get a bit of a possession here, though Bowie's trying to drive through. She's lost her feet, been clipped around the ear. She's going to get a little kick. Quite often gets a little stroppy, the big ruckman.
Got Lily Bird in there fighting with her as well.
Yep, it's a bar fight you don't want to get involved in. Those two. Never give up at any stage. It's Lewis. Called a play on, steps onto her left foot and pulls it around the corner. Vaughan Taylor looks to have camped it back behind the ball at the moment in this quarter. She's starting to get her hands on it. She releases to Taylor. Not quite clean now, fronted by Riley. Taken a ground by Riley. There's a strong tackle from a young player. Just a few South players starting to get into the game. Carly Hunt is a good young player. Can't expect her to win this game for the Sharkies, but it's nice to see a young developing player starting to get her hands on the ball at league level. The same to be said from Vaughan Taylor starting to get it. Spencer's had plenty of it to now. Chloe Taylor's starting to get involved in some aerial efforts and some groundwork too, as Riley tries to step through once, twice, trying to be Dane Zorko. Look pretty good. It's brilliant to Versace. She pulls it round the corner. It's South Fremantle. I think it's going to be good enough. Has it gone in? Wonderful kick from Versace. Just knew exactly what she was doing. I think she might have been going to the top of the square, but that's one for her. Ultimate team player. Clean feet and clean hands. And she was able to take that shot a little easy for the South's defence, but wonderful goal from her and the Sharks. Sharks move on to 3-2. with South Fremantle. Got a couple of forward 50 entries. No scorers yet. Just joined in the box by a number of people that are going to make this job infinitely harder than it was just 5 seconds ago. But two people that have been able to put their season together, Luke Sanders and Scott Baker. Of course, Luke runs this competition. Scott Baker, the executive manager. And two of the more famous mischief makers that work within the West Australian Footy Commission. As we're back in the centre again. It's not bad with this time. It's a chop out ruckman. Could be Alston. Tinson tries to go through. Can't quite gather. Bit of pressure on the ball now. Souths are going to go forward. Looking for Vecchi. She's got that footy now. Nice little catch under the wing. The captain. Bit of a shallow kick towards the top of 50. Plenty of work to do from the Bulldogs. Tinson again, driving her legs really hard through this game. Selby around there's dangerous. Just tracking her to the ground. Looks to be Sparks at halfback, just trying to clean up the work here as the ball comes back in towards the centre again. Alston tracks the ball quite well. She's got Wong and Versace in support. It is Versace to Wong. Releases a runner on the far side is Gomes. She's confronted. If she gets through, she's home. If not, the Bulldogs are a chance to go forward again.
They do manage to hold it up here, South Fremantle. The Sharks were looking dangerous on the burst, but we'll see a ball up instead. So 20 points East Fremantle's way. 8 minutes to play in the second quarter. First WAFLW match for South Fremantle. First one at Fremantle Oval. As Gomes sends the Sharks forward now. Bouncing ball towards half forward. Coming up to meet the footy. Burton does well. Hand pass to Sprillian. Little chip pass. Makes it tough for Versace. But the one-handed pickup was slick. Straightens up onto the right boot. Doesn't fire on goal. Sets it down in front of Lewis instead. He's got some work to do to keep this one in close to the boundary. Being hassled by Taylor. That's a good tackle. Not rewarded by the umpire. Slaps it back inboard. Umpire has spotted something off the footy. And I think maybe Taylor was dealt with after giving that tackle, and she'll get a free kick for some high contact. Probably should have got the free kick in the first place. I think holding the ball.
Well, it's one of those situations where the defender's in the box seat because the forward has to make the play. Picked her off beautifully. Done it once or twice before in her career. Lewis let that go on the tackle and then gave her a whack on the head. Chloe Taylor can kick. Should be driving line here, you'd imagine. A little chip over. He's going to find Alston, who doesn't take the mark, hits the shin, rolls over the ball, and just messy, full stop. But Sharkies won't mind the throw in from this little pocket. There is 37 players around this ball. Not quite. Umpire moves in 10. Throw it up. Alston and Adams. No, Adams has dropped off. Ruckwork's done in front. Taylor. Vaughan Taylor. It's a couple of neat little attempts to catch the ball over the shoulder. That was, of course, Vecchio, who's had a neat start to her league career.
So we've just seen the one goal in this second quarter. Sharks kicking that one through Versace, who's looked dangerous all day so far in that forward 50 for East Fremantle. Alston was dealt with there in a strong tackle. Wong trying to burst her way through. Can't pick up the footy. Does gain an extra 10 metres with a couple of paddles. South Fremantle clear. Tinson back with the flight does well. That's a strong mark. Happy to stand her ground in front of the heavy traffic coming the other way.
Oh, there's numbers on the far side. Tinson hasn't looked up.
And be forced to go into a left boot in the end. Got herself into a real tangle. Bounced kick. Selby couldn't take it. Riley swoops on the footy. Open goal coming up for Chloe Riley. Can she finish? She hits the post. She's dangerous up there, Chloe Riley. It's been an almost sort of a day for her. A couple of near things with some marks that she's gone for. And now a narrow miss there. The shot for goal. 3-3. East Fremantle. South Fremantle still yet to score.
Nothing wrong with your ears pricking up there. And Chloe Riley swooping on that ball. Young player. Don't know if she's turned 17 yet, but it's great to see her with ball in hand inside 50 and deserved a goal. Did everything that a small forward should be doing. And Sparks is doing the same on the far side, just getting another throw in inside forward 50 for the Sharks. So these ball ups starting to amass now. Players starting to tie towards half time. Umpire just making sure he's got a line to throw it in. There's plenty of players around the ball again. South Fremantle have collapsed their shape all in the front half of the game now. Alston looks for a bit of space out the back. It's going to bounce off some hands. There's no real room to move, nor any real desire to try and squirt that out from Tyrell, who's doing some good work in the ruck at the moment. She goes up again. Both players protect themselves neatly there, scrapping on the ground, trying to push it through. East Fremantle players continue to try and drive their legs to get this clear. Versace Pat collapses on her, and Tyrell get another chance to get another hit out. Going quite well. Cough it out. Back feed's okay. She's come back inside though again. It's going to give Sharks a chance. Tinson trying to push through again. She had some real impetus to break this game open. It's Shay Selby. Played a league game or two for the Sharks last year. Stalwart of the South Fremantle Footy Club. Gamesy claims the mark. Now she's been tangled up. Can't get it out. Little finger on that on the way through. Ashley just lets the umpire know that she reckons that was a catch.
Well, we definitely see those paid normally, don't you, even if there's a little fingertip from the other team, but didn't go her way on that occasion. Tinson, the hand pass. Ross on the burst on the way past. Had to slap it forward to Burton, about to be shut down. She's caught. That'll be holding the ball. Just needed to get it on. South Fremantle want to play onto advantage. That wouldn't be wise, and luckily the umpire's going to bring it back. Dawson Gibbs, not really sure what she was thinking about trying to move that ball on, but Ella Higgins will get the free kick.
That was Maddie Ross tackling again. She's been to the gym, Maddie, because not a single tackle's been broken.
Yeah, she's been strong in the contest so far today. The Sharks will pump this one back towards the 50, but again, no one in great position to take that one. And reading it well, Spencer. She's held up a number of attacks from East Fremantle today. Been quite impressive. Free kick going the way here of Vecchio.
They have really started to go at each other, these two. Really strong ball players, and they take bodies with them, but their focus is the football. Very impressive.
So Vecchio receiving this time on the way past. Sidesteps an opponent and then kicks into the middle of the ground. No clear target here, O'Donnell, as she does so often, reading the play and getting basically in the way. Ross drops that one. Now she's over the footy, needs to do something with it. She's hanging on to it while she's throwing the ground. The umpire actually gives her a bit of relief and says, we'll just ball that one up. It's probably the one we've seen in the AFL the last few weeks once the interpretations changed, that one's holding the ball. Bowie.
Season's long enough for a couple more interpretations. Yeah.
More than likely. Good tackle front on this time from Dawson Gibbs. The tackling's been a feature from South Fremantle and East Fremantle, to be fair. Though the Sharks have had a lot more of the football, so the Bulldogs have been asked to do a lot more of that tackling work. 2 minutes to go to half-time. We haven't seen a score just yet for South, and East Fremantle have only managed the one goal in this second term.
Pressure's gone up from Souths. Repeat stoppages on the wing. There's been lots of ball ups through here as South try to go forward again. Spills out the back, which gives South a chance to go forward again. Now, long kick forward. The deepest player, unfortunately, is a Shark for South. Karapetkov chasing down Norrish. Norrish just swings around and connects nicely onto the chest of a winger on the far side. Looks like Ross. Ross brings it aggressively back in. Good contest there from South. Trying to run through and take the ball with her was Felton. Can't do so. On the ground again, stalemate. Looks like Lily Bird. Hard to take a chip off Lily Bird. So she really, really locks that footy up. Action again. Nice little tap. Like it's in the hands of Versace, who's been very clean today. She's a clean-handed player. Neat contest on the far side. It's Tyrell trying to work it out there. She's got some help now. Spat over the back. Didn't favour Taylor. Versace's tackling now as well. Spencer hits in hard. Barry wraps her up. Going to do it again.
It's been a bit of that today. Not a lot of flow to the game either way. Sharks would have probably expected to get a little bit more connection in their game. There's still a half a footy to go. They'll be working on that, I'm sure. As Versace wants to send East Fremantle forward for a late shot on goal. And it might come through Burton, who's got some space. Time for one bounce, has a second. She can steady and shoots. It looks as though it's just fading right, but she snug it through. So East Fremantle on the burst. Probably their best passage of play in the match so far. And they do get their second goal for the quarter. And that might be all she wrote for the term. I'm not sure the boundary umpires are going to be able to get this ball back to the centre in time. It'll be a race against the clock in the next 20 seconds. But East Fremantle get some reward for effort, and they lead it by 27 points.
Got some lookalikes going on through the Sharkies. Got a couple out there that are doing a bit of an Asher Atkins impression, which is really neat to do. We had a lot of Cara Donnellans, a couple of Cara Antonios a couple of years ago with the top knot. The siren sounds to end the first half of the first ever derby, the last game of the first round of the WAFLW season, which has been terrific to be able to bring to life and be a part of course, because it looked a little scary that we weren't going to get any football for a little while. And at the moment, pleasure palace that is Western Australia sees us returning to our sports and our hobbies and our games really nicely. Really happy with Spencer down there.
Yeah, she's done a good job for it. South Fremantle. A lot of ball, obviously, in that defensive end, but she's held up well. The goals for East Fremantle through Lewis and Spark in the first, Versace and Burton in the second, and as a result, at half-time, they lead by 27 points. WAFLW Round 1 coming to you from Fremantle Oval.
The high ball.
Don't you diddle, don't you daddle, you better skedaddle. You need to run for your life. Well, like Virginia Creeper, well, didn't want to keep her just maybe for a while. You're the lady in a hurdle. Well, I feel that day.
All the great teams have many things in common. That ability to deliver when it counts. That certain style about the way they do things. That ongoing quest to be the best.
Goes back to back.
And at Kia, that team mantra is everything. We're proud to support the WAFL and proud to offer Australia's best 7-year warranty. Because with Kia, we've got your back.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
So it's half time in the WAFLW. East Fremantle taking on South Fremantle. The first WAFL Women's Derby. There's been 383 men's derbies since 1900. We've finally got a women's one, the blue and whites and the red and whites down here at Fremantle Oval. But it's been all East Fremantle on the scoreboard, 4-3-27 to South Fremantle, no score. It's pretty much as we expected in terms of East Fremantle being dominant, but the Bulldogs have held up pretty well. It hasn't exactly been one-way traffic, despite the fact that the Bulldogs haven't yet registered a score. Dave Lindsay and Clint Degebrot calling the action for you. And Degs, how have you seen South Fremantle's first entry into the WAFL women's competition to half-time?
I'm impressed with the way they've built. I think they were a little bit tentative at the start, which is totally understandable. Here we go. We're just getting some names cleared up for us. We're saying one of us is saying a name right and the other one's saying a name wrong. And Dave Lindsay, you'd be happy to know it's you. No, South's, I think, a bit tentative into the start, which is totally understandable. Lots of adrenaline, lots of excitement, photos before the game. But I think they actually started to feel the pace towards the end of the first quarter. I think they're tired late, but they managed to bottle the game up really nicely. So I guess a different question you could ask is how do you see them scoring? Well, they can't at the moment because they don't have any representation in front of the football and they're not moving the ball quite quick enough out of defence. So I'm really happy with a couple of players they've got there. Silcock's been good. I think Hunt's just started to come to the game. Shea Selby's probably one of the better players on the ground. Cara Petcott just got to get her hands on the ball a couple of times. Happy with Vaughan Taylor. I think Spencer's been dominant. Hurd and Tyrell have been pretty good through the front of the box. As we're going to just jump off South Fremantle right now and head to East Fremantle's highlights, I guess, against South Swan Districts last year in terms of the grand final.
In the WA football fabric here today. The grand final, the first one of the WAFLW. East Fremantle led from start to finish. They were never headed. The celebrations probably started early. A great goal here that took the bounce. It was the way East Fremantle's afternoon really played out. They have won the first WAFLW grand final. Georgie Parker now to take us through the presentation.
Congratulations, Nikki. I now present Optus State Director, National Sales, Paul Williams, to come forward and present the Premiership Cup and a $10,000 grant, thanks to Optus, to the winning team. Congratulations, East Fremantle, and thank you very much to our special guests. Now let's all show appreciation for the 2019 WAFL Women's Premiers. Well done, East Fremantle.
The season, the Premiership Cup, all the chocolates go to East Fremantle as their theme song blares out again today over Mineral Resources Park. Well done to them. They've created history. They've won the first premiership in the WAFLW competition, and there they are collectively unfurling their pennant.
What a day it was for East Fremantle, the Sharks, the premiers in the first season of WAFLW. They'll be hard to stop again this year, although I'm sure all the other WAFLW sides have got other ideas there. As you can see some of the spectators that have come in to enjoy the action here this afternoon. South Fremantle's first contest in WAFLW 2020, the new season. Of course, you can come in and have a kick of the footy as well. Let's see how he goes. It looks all right to me. It might be Andrew McCarry, I reckon, who was hovering around downstairs. I think he can probably kick a footy. Used to go okay. So I did see Scott Baker out there on the ground. Unfortunately, he's not out there at the moment. We'll have to get some vision of his technique as well, see whether it still stands up.
Takes his daughter out there for a kick at every sort of quarter and half-time break.
He would have been a menace on those footy fields in South Australia, wouldn't he, growing up?
Yeah, well, Elizabeth Oval and Thurban, that'll make him happy. No, we were talking about before, but about South Fremantle. Of course, the player that I didn't get to was Vecchio, who I think's been very good. I think it's going to be very entertaining to watch throughout this season. But to the Sharks, I think Versace's been the dominant player on the ground. Norris has given every sort of forward thrust from South Fremantle a good repellent. And I really like the way Tinson's driven her legs through every stoppage. I've said that a couple of times, but I'm quite impressed on her, the way she's attacking the football at the moment. I think it's the type of thing that'll bust this game wide open. Of course, Lewis, of course, has been a constant threat down forward.
She's moving well, isn't she?
Yeah, she is.
Around that 50-metre arc.
I think it's making it really easy for Spark and Riley and the small forwards to work off her too. So that looks to be something that's going to be special for them throughout this season, particularly as they start to load up with returning players. But of course, that happens to the other sides as well. Subiaco expecting what looks to be a plethora of players heading their way, as is Claremont with some exciting new talent to WAFLW. I don't know if we're allowed to say things, but I'm really looking forward to Mika Carter having a run with the Tigers at some stage this year. Of course, West Coast listed player. We're going to duck off now and get a few messages to make sure that everything's above board and we can afford to do these things. It's wonderful that people invest as well as they do. Thanks to them very much, and we'll be back fourth quarter. Third quarter.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
The V6 twin turbo rear wheel drive Kia Stinger. It took 7 years to create and 4.9 seconds to understand why.
Hey darling, so I was thinking maybe we could all go out for dinner.
Oh, I wish, but I need to finish this prezzo.
Oh, that's cool, I'll just take the kids. Okay, alright, bye. Thank you. But can I get
Champagne soup?
Yeah.
Bring your family together.
What?
New Optus Family Plan includes 4 SIMs and the McAfee Safe family app.
Just before quarter time, and then saw another injury. I think it was Cara Turley, who got hit pretty hard in a tackle, and at the start of the second term was unable to return to the field after that. So there are a couple down on the bench, and I imagine all the excitement that they would have had leading up to round one, Dex, it's tough to keep that up, and fitness for all teams will be interesting this year with the stop-start nature of the pre-season. In some ways, it's ended up being the longest pre-season any of them have ever done, which is not always the best thing either.
The exciting part of it is a lot of the players over the break actually arrived at the season injury-free. So any sort of pick-up niggles they'd had that carry over from the season, the AFLW players, the State Academy players, and obviously through the Jan Cooper Cup as well, so I should say the Simply Energy Jan Cooper Cup, they got to freshen up somewhat, and it just was beginning to become a bit long for the mental health and well-being of certain people, or some people, or all of us. But I think the bodies have arrived just a little bit fresher than they might have been. But you're right, you can't be at the peak of your fitness now, as we can see a couple of State Academy players there, and that's Ebony Clarkson. I'd expect to see her playing league football. She's in the red jumper. Ebony Clarkson's a dashing, tall player that can mark and kick, and I think she'd be tailor-made to come into this league side the next couple of weeks.
So bring our viewers up to date on what happens with the State Academy at the moment. Obviously, around about this time, or probably even a few weeks ago, there would have been trips over east for the girls.
Yeah, we'd be just back from the 18s championships, which the team would have done very well in. We always sort of end up with a 3-5 record. This year, with the team we had, with the particular type of characters that we had, we think that they could probably go to 4v5. Of course, it doesn't matter about wins and losses. It's more about development. But it just seems the players can go a bit further if they're feeling really good about themselves. And of course, getting W's does that. We'd be getting back now, and they'd probably be having this week off. Of course, at the moment, the State Academy is leaving the players alone altogether, so that they can concentrate on their league playing period over this next couple of weeks.
And is there plans at all for any games for the State Academy, or is that still up in the air depending on what the AFL do?
We're waiting. We've got a couple of different plans in place. So there'll be a domestic program, or there'll be an interstate program, or a national program, and we're sort of the time frames for that after the season. So we'll light up as we get given. We'll put our plans in action depending on what the AFL say that it is they need us to do. So working pretty closely with Freo and West Coast too at the moment. So a couple of our State Academy girls at the top end, draftables, are going to train with the Academy program at Freo and West Coast over the next couple of weeks, which is terrific for them. I think they start with West Coast tomorrow. They're 2 weeks at West Coast and 2 weeks at Fremantle, 1 at West Coast, 1 at Fremantle. Low impact, so that they can actually make sure they stay focused on playing league footy.
East Fremantle back out on the field, as you can see. The Sharks just going through some warm-ups. Lily Bird, one of those girls that's been with the State Academy over the summer, just away to the right of screen there as well, with the strapping on her left knee. Partnered up with Sharon Wong, premiership player last year from East Fremantle's winning side. Haven't seen the Bulldogs return to the field just yet. They've had to hurry up with the sirens going off beneath our broadcast position as well. So a late entry onto the field for South Fremantle for the second half. As the Sharks are going to just finish off their preparations. They lead at 4-3-27 to no score at half time. Lewis, Spark, Versace and Burton, the goal kickers. Probably the way the game's shaping up, you'd expect that perhaps they might get a little bit more flow and a bit more freedom into their game in the second half if the Bulldogs are unable to maintain their enthusiasm.
Well, the Sharks are a kicking team. They like to kick the ball short and get some overlap run. You saw them overlap at different times to get a couple of big forward thrusts. So I can imagine that Nikki Harwood's really put the pressure on them to make sure that they come back and spread the football.
What's her style? Does she give a spray at half time, or is
she can. Yeah. She's a coach that's evolved very nicely, because she was fire and brimstone not too long ago. I'll say 10 years ago. And in at different times got the message over quite forcefully. Much more personal coach now, coaches individuals. So she's been able to grow in her experience. She's very experienced, a very credentialed coach, of course. Jill, I think she's got last 2 flags she got the last
2 different competitions.
Yeah, 2 different, so last ever and the first ever between the WAFL and the WAFLW. So no, she would have been imploring the players. I think it would have been more like this is how we play. This is our role. Let's play our style and our game. Whereas I think right now in the South Fremantle rooms it'd be a bit about, let's just keep the pressure right up to them. Let's just get in their face and just light them up.
Must be a good talk in there, because we still haven't seen them. I think Lara Roden-Zimdale's just hopped her way out of the room. She's going to sit on the bench in the second half. Looks like a left ankle problem for her. East Fremantle, as you can see on screen, in a tight huddle. We spoke before about Evie Gooch doing some of the running. Well, there's another AFLW player we just saw on screen there in the pink gear as well, Ash Atkins, who played a sensational grand final last year.
Actually, they both did.
They did, didn't they?
Add Gabby O'Sullivan to that, and Roxy Rue.
Weren't too many bad players, to be honest, in that performance. And Fremantle Oval looking a picture at the moment, probably helped by the fact there hasn't been too many organised games of football on it. Normally by this time of the year it cops a little bit of traffic, and it might not be looking quite as good as it is today, but we're set to go. Well, the Sharks are set to go. Still no Bulldogs out here. This is a little bit bizarre, really. They've had the hurry-up sirens. Luke Sanders from the Footy Commission was here before. I wonder if he'll be firing out the fines for a late arrival back on the field.
What is it the newspaper says? That it's the WFC's Christmas fund money? No, you won't be throwing too many fines out today. I think it'd have to be something that's delayed them, mistimed or miscommunication. They look like they're going to start to break out now. First of the runners is on the ground. With the lookalikes too, we've got a couple of Ash Atkins lookalikes, and we've got a couple of players that are very similar heights with very similar haircuts. But I like the look of Burton, and every time she grabs a footy, I think it's Inglis Hodge. So there's another couple of imitation is the greatest form of flattery. No.
Close team down the Sharks.
Close team down the Sharkies. It's always good to see the new haircuts and the new seasons. Giving up the top knot. They've gone the high pony.
Well, they've had a long time to prepare for this. Normally it's that summer tan you get for the new players start of the season. Well, there's no summer tans anymore. It'd only be spray tan at this point.
Most amazing part of all that is they've done less with their hair than the boys did.
True. It's
Some of
definitely
the
gone that way.
Outrageous moves in the AFL and the waffle from some of our players.
I think the shutdown period was pretty good for people purchasing hair product. As, the Bulldogs are back out there and straight into the action. So no warm-up for them. As they return to the field, they go straight into position. And we're about to start. So underway in the third quarter. Can we see the Bulldogs hit the scoreboard in this term? Bowie in the ruck, beaten by Broadhurst. Nice palm down. Trying to work her way through again. Vecchio. Hand pass was intercepted. She'll have a second crack at this footy. Beaten to it, though, by Wong. Tries to bust through the tackle. Gets it off. Little hand pass comes to Burton at her feet. Good enough to collect it in the end. Wants a runner coming past. That's Gomes. Left it behind. Goes back and gets it. Kick to the top of the goal square. Lewis coming out. Beaten by the bounce. Selby slaps it away. Still a chance, though, here for East Fremantle through Versace. South Fremantle good enough to deny Versace the football on that occasion. And we'll see a ball up. And again, that was Spencer doing some good defensive work. Umpire puts the ball in the air quickly. Lewis did the ruck work that time for East Fremantle. Vaughan Taylor's hurried kick doesn't clear the area and Bird takes it. She's 2 kicks from goal here, Lily Bird. Sets this one up into the pocket. Lots of red and white jumpers there. Mark not taken. How will the umpire see this? A high tackle on Caitlin Catalano, and she'll have a chance to kick her first goal.
Once again, that threatening pace of those small forwards from the Sharks, just draw those kicks because put so much pressure on you as they go charging past. Just a little technique error with the tackle.
So we're going to be right behind the kick of Caitlin Catalano. She lines this one up for East Fremantle's first goal of the second half. High contact free kick, close to the player on the mark. Will it have the carry off hands? Try to trickle it through there. Versace didn't get much on it, but Lewis does. And Lewis has her second goal. She kicked the first goal of the match 2 minutes into the first quarter. And now she's got one 2 minutes into the third quarter. East Fremantle have 5 on the board.
She hasn't made any friends in the pre-season. She's got a couple of friends at Sharks now because she's doing the job as the bookend. She's got a couple of snags to her name as well. Looking really good, really mobile, really dangerous. It's nice to have her and Bowie and Versace in the square for that long kick in too.
Played up forward for Subiaco last year.
And lots of years before that too.
The move across now to East Fremantle, so gives them a big tall target up forward. So a slick start to the second half for East Fremantle. Not sure the late entry onto the ground does South Fremantle any favours really. Wong trying to dance away through traffic. Got a hand pass away. She'll get it back again now. Bit more space to operate this time and angled the kick well towards Burton on the wing. He's done a couple of nice things. Has a goal to her name. As Wong breaking towards centre half forward at the moment. Decides to kick down the line instead. Big leap from behind. No mark taken there from Catalano. Versace working hard at ground level yet again. We'll see another ball up, I think, here at half forward.
A really clever tackle there from South Fremantle in their defence too. Gathered up the player and the ball, Spencer. Gathered the player and the ball up so she wasn't going to give any free kicks away nor leave the ball free. Bowie in the ruck just stands there and just palms it straight down to its Sharks' advantage. Cuts through the pack, looks for Wong on the outside. Steps inside, uses the left to find Versace, and it's a perfect kick. Versace's looking to go quickly. She can on the far side. Looks like Gomes has snuck down from half back. She's got a little short option too. Gomes can get this to the square. Long straight kick. She's gone short instead, and she's found laces out and hits the chest of Lewis. Now, no one in front of Lewis and no one really trailing behind.
It's patient, wasn't it? They waited for the space to open up. And I've liked the way that Wong just holds on to the football, doesn't panic, waits for things to present in front of her. Happy to take a bit of contact from her opponent as well. Knows that she rarely gets thrown to ground. Now Lewis can kick a third.
But she keeps a lot of power in her legs. Really worked it well to the open side of the ground too, Sharks, which I imagine would have been what Webbo instructed at half-time. Lewis hasn't missed one.
She's got 3. Great start to her days in the blue and white for East Fremantle. And you're right, she's definitely got some mates down there now. They look pretty happy for her. Why wouldn't you be?
Really nice when you see a new player. When she got her first goal, they really got to her, let her know they were happy with her and happy to have her and happy to keep her. That must be a nice feeling.
Yeah.
I don't remember it.
I think any time you start at a new club, your first game, you're a little bit nervous. You want to fit in. You want to make sure you show your new teammates that you're up to it. I'm sure they knew that she was, but doesn't hurt having 3 goals on the board 4 minutes into the third quarter.
Looks like Sanders in the ruck now. Or is there ruckman coming from the far side? Oh, angle jump. Bowie again. Wong again. Breaking through. Got some time now to steady. Floodgates might be opening up. Ball's long and deep. Lewis has got a big run at it. Can't quite get there. Vaughan Taylor takes a very good intercept mark on the chest. Looking to spread quickly. Does have some options on the far side. Covered off really quickly by Ross. Double touches it. Gets it below the knees. Feeds back nicely. Off the ground, Bowie. Inside 50 again. Not quite got the control of the ball at the moment, Burton. Wong. 4 or 5 possessions already. In the path of East Fremantle. Have a flying shot. Lewis might have got the ball at the top of the square. Every right to take that shot though, Catalano. Didn't quite get the centre of the ball. Souths again, all in front of him. Chloe Taylor comes running out of the box beautifully. Looks for Selby. Can't quite mix it. Bit of a confusion with South. She's got some support. They'll be looking for the line, I imagine. And obligingly, the Sharks tackle the ball over the line. Sanders has done some neat things. Under pressure. Looks to have Chloe Riley for company. Or at least her direct opponent at the moment. Selby, immensely experienced player. Be happy with a double touch there. Throw in favour. Looks to favour Bowie. She's able to get it over the back. All smiles as they get up there. Bit of fun.
Don't see that in a derby too often.
You don't. Little shove from Marnie Alston's good. It's Alston doing the ruck there, not Lewis. Ball in Wong's hands again. Bouncing around. Finally a bit of clean footy. Alston didn't have that. Well, she does it now. Advantage in the hands of Vecchio. Vecchio looks for Karapetkov. Gets her. Overlap runs good. Can she get through? She can't. She does get a foot to the ball. Karapetkov's got some work to do now. Need to move the ball forward by foot. Dragged again in the tackle. That's the 3rd time she's been dragged down. It's hard to keep her down.
Certainly got her that time.
Certainly see why she's the captain of that football club. Irrepressible.
So 7 minutes into this third term. Sharks have already kicked 2 this quarter. They only kicked 2 in the first and in the second term as well. They might end up with a few more this time. Tinson sends them inside 50, clears the pack. Riley forced to tackle on Selby. And comes Burton to apply a tackle as well. Ball spills out the back. Burton still fighting on. Vaughan Taylor thrown to ground. Another stoppage. Umpire calls for nominations. Bit of holding in the ruck, and the umpire says it'll go the way of South Fremantle. Had the front position, earned the free kick. Broadhurst. So where's the kick up? It's not a good one. Now there's trouble. Lewis has charged down the hand pass. Wanted a left side. She's worked it well to the top of the goal square, and standing and waiting, Spark is able to take the mark. Thought Lewis might have fired on goal there, but I guess the time it took to get across onto that left boot. And she ran out of space.
Really neat
Spark kick. Stephanie Spark as she converts from directly in front, and East Fremantle are out to a 46-point lead, and it's just starting to get away from the Bulldogs now.
It's impressive the way Sparks developed her gameplay, her craft, I guess you can call it, the way she's just accepted her role, and she knows exactly what she's good at, and anytime she catches the ball around 35, there's big pressure on the oppo to be able to counter because she doesn't miss many at all. South's just losing their connections in mid-water again. Just need to calm down here. But what I think I can see now is East Fremantle's actually got the game open. They've actually got much more space now, so they're actually moving the ball by foot. And by spreading out, they're allowing Wong to come through the middle. So see what happens here. It's time for some stoppage success for the Bulldogs.
Long's not in the square this time.
That might help the Blues. Big win in the ruck. Can't quite get it off hands. Vecchio diving in it now, hoping for a second start, I'd imagine. Ball bobbling free. East Fremantle just trying to charge the ball forward. South desperate to hold them up. Lots going on. The umpire finally calls it up. Young Tyrell in the ruck again. Off hands, looking for some free. It's going to come back though. That's O'Donnell, who just camps in the right spot for most of the game. Flicks it out wide. The kick's put a bit of pressure on Tinson, who's good enough. It's Catalano, my apologies. It's now in the hands of Spark. Tumbles the ball forward. Anywhere near Bowie will do. It's going to go out of bounds, just in front of the arc, which means he's really, really not playing that lasso down. I would like to see that arm high in the air. We'll have a chat to Greg Gilby and Cam during the week to see if we can't get that signal.
It was one of the highlights last year, seeing some of our boundary umpires get into it, actually take the stance, almost that holding the ball stance we get from the field umpires, and really let the lasso go above the head. But his is a half arm. It's umpire Venkat. Remember umpire Venkat used to give the trigger finger just off to the side at sort of 90 degrees?
Like your dismissal, you're actually being dismissed.
Yeah, exactly. We need a bit more from our boundary umpires. So we're good last year. We talked up.
Well, it's a silly signal. Yes. Let's be honest.
Well, most of them are in football.
And it's like what you tell the kids when they're when they're dancing or singing on stage. You got to make it bigger than it is. Because you're going to be embarrassed. You might as well be really embarrassed. This is Alston tumbling the ball forward towards Lewis again over Selby's head. It's going to fall neatly for Spencer. Touches on the ground. That's smart. Does get the kick away now. It's tons and tons of East Fremantle players on that far side doing some heavy body work out there to clear the pathway. Was magnificent, and the Sharks have connected at 50 again. It's Catalano. Sparks. Getting the names wrong at the moment. Ball drops in over beautiful. It's Catalano. Well, 41 and 14. 41 on the far side. Just held the ball long enough. Just waited for the traffic to go past and just popped it on Catalano's chest. And Catalano doing an Ashley Atkins impression will mean that she nails this through the middle and celebrates really, really well. It's an excellent little passage of play. Really patient build-up from the Sharks. Does just that, puts it in. It's always good when you call the player the wrong name and then the player you call the wrong name gives it to the player whose name you called. Apologies. Sparks, lovely hold and kick over there from 50. Dropped it over the fat side of the ground. Catalano on the chest and finishes the job with a very, very neat and straight kick. Things getting a little bit dire for South now. East Fremantle starting to really control this game.
Catalano just signalling to the bench she wants to do a quick change. She's worked very hard in this third quarter. In fact, throughout the game, really.
I think she did some of the heavy body work up the top earlier that allowed one of those forward thrusts, and she's just pulling at her shoulder and her neck. Maybe just needs a little massage on the bench.
So the half century's up for East Fremantle. 8-4 on the board. South Fremantle still stuck on 0. It's not looking too positive for them in terms of breaking away and scoring in this game. That's a good mark from Ross. Always keeps her eye on the football. Never in any doubt there. Goes straight down the middle.
Ooh.
Nice little intercept, sneaking in from the side. And the mark taken yet again by Spencer. Probably been South Fremantle's best player today. There's Ross again juggling that one. She was the only person that got hands on that football, but the umpire decided it wasn't a mark. Tinson receives. Kicks high in the Spark direction again. That's a good mark. Got good protection
free again
from Riley. And here is Catalano. Does it get to her? Not quite on the full. She can dish this one off to Kakamo. Doesn't hit her. And that causes some problems. She's bumped off the football. Vaughan Taylor did well. And at least that will buy South Fremantle some time. Because that was all set up for an East Fremantle goal, and they probably made one or two little errors there. As a result, they didn't get to fire.
There was a little pressure from the Bulldogs too that I guess second-guessed. It's made a couple of Sharkies second-guess there. Some neat body work in there in the ruck by Sanders. Gets this ball across. It's in the hands of Selby. Selby sort of, no one wanted to receive that handball. And we're just on the ground. 20 minutes out. We're going to get a ball up. Love to see these South Fremantle, particularly in the back half of the ground, drive their legs with these handballs just to make sure they get through. Spencer expressing a discontent with Versace's performance. Nice to see a grumpy defender in footy. Spencer again dishes this out on hands and knees. Falls in the pathways, fails to take it with her though. Unfortunately, it's in the hands of Versace, who takes that one bounce clean, gets it over to Lewis, who pulls it over her shoulder. And they've got another. She's got 4. So wonderful work from Versace, just put that in a dangerous spot. Lewis did the really, really clean work, was able to pull that over her shoulder immediately. She knew she was under pressure, took the heat. Ball rolls through. She's got 4.
It's a big start to the season for Lewis. She's got them in a few different ways now as well, not just on the lead and the mark.
Got one out the back. She's got one on the lead. She's got one off the ground like that. Nice little scrapper. Tell you what, in the lead for the goal kicking medal, 4 in the first game is a handy start.
Yep.
Not that you should be thinking about that at the moment.
There might be a few forwards that look at this scoreline and say, okay, well, I could probably pad my stats a little bit against South Fremantle, but the South defence worked pretty hard today, and I'm sure they'll continue to improve. That was a big knee into the chest there by Bowie. Nice ruck work. They work it pretty quickly to half forward. Riley has it. Decides to go in the Lewis direction. Why wouldn't you? She's up and strong in front again. Had a good piece of it. Umpire didn't pay it. Ball comes out the back, and Wong runs into the open goal. She's had enough of winning all the centre clearances. Now she wants some action on the scoreboard as well. And East Fremantle have kicked 6 goals in this quarter. There's still 5 minutes to go.
It's been a really good performance from East. They're actually walking the ball out of the centre now. But they have opened the game up a little bit. They allowed them to, I guess they allowed themselves to zone the game a little bit by coming in tight. South Fremantle came in really tight. East Fremantle came with them. East Fremantle now staying out a bit wider, making it really hard to defend forward. Probably played into South's hands in the second quarter a little bit by standing together as a forward group. They're really spread now.
Looks like East Fremantle happy to mix it up a bit as well now, with Wong had a rest and then forward, Lily Bird into the centre of the ground. We'll probably see a few more players in different positions.
Versace's gone in as well. Versace's got clean hands and reads the ball really off the pack. She's in the centre of the ground. This one goes over her head, falls in the Bulldogs player's arms, who unfortunately was dragged to the ground without the ball. There's 3 Sharks tackling 1 Bulldog, and that probably sums up just the performance in this quarter at the moment. Well done to hold that ball in Holtz.
It was a good tackle from Tinson, wasn't it?
It was.
The opponent didn't have the football at any stage, but
it was solid
got
tackle.
away with it.
Moved her hips. So this is in the path of Wong. Tash Vaughan-Taylor is tracking her. It's going to come towards our commentary box. Hasn't favoured any of the players on the ground at the moment. Kakamo just dropped that ball during the tackle. Carried forward was Wong. Vaughan-Taylor just so happy to catch the elusive Wong. I think she just celebrated a bit excited. This is an interesting selection of punt. That was a flat punt. Gomes has dropped the footy, so she's been penalised for holding the ball. Well, she's let it go on the tackle. South's now streaming forward. Some good ball movement here. Connection looks okay. Hasn't got through. It's landed in the front. Sort of handed to the front of the pack there by the Sharks. It's Tinson again, working hard. Back feed's good. Just little tiny little fumble there from the Sharkies, and they've worked all the way back into forward 50. That's an inside 50 for South, the first for the quarter. Just being careful again. That's Plushke. Kakamo. Wong. Neat little connection. They've got some really overlap run from Sprillian, who's just tossed the ball forward, and contested mark taken there by Silcock. Unfortunately, the player that contested against her, or sorry, it was Holtz that took that mark. Unfortunately, the player that gave her a cookie there was on her team.
She's had a tough couple of minutes because she was the one crunched by Tinson in the middle of the ground. And now teammates copying her as well.
This is with Plushke, fullback, finds Versace with a neat little kick. Versace's had a busy day. Bowie in the middle of the ground, competes well, as she always does. Goes through, hands and knees, doesn't quite get up, spits it out. Bulldogs a chance to go forward. East Fremantle there in numbers. Karapetkoff tracks the footy okay, picks it up O'Donnell. Tackled well, almost a look-away handball. The hands of Souths again, turning back, looking for the back feed to the skipper. She tries to charge through, Versace's got her, gets the ball forward. Bowie arrives. East Fremantle desperate for a bit of length and a bit of width. Looking for Gomes. She cuts back inside and goes long. So this should be a bit of relief for the scrappy player in the middle of the ground. Selby can't complete the mark in the middle. Tracking the ball now is Bird. She's bashed off it but gets it to Versace. Versace goes long and deep, and again South's able to repel, and it is Spencer once more.
Well, she's been the rock down there. They would have conceded many more than the 10 goals that they've conceded so far had she not done the work she's done in that position. And she's going to be called on again here. Alston has it front into the centre square. Has the runner going past in Gomes. Nice little sidestep. Can she hit a target? Interesting torpedo pass in the Riley direction. Sneaks over the back. Burton hovering. Steals the footy. Open goal. There's another one. She's got 2 as well. Great pressure from the forwards. Riley had to fight against a couple, and it got through, and then Burton just stripped her opponent of the football. And that is 7 goals for the quarter for East Fremantle, and they lead it by 70 points inside the last minute of the third quarter.
I haven't seen much of Burton, but I'm liking, she really tracks the football. She stays engaged. She's got a couple of good rewards from probably, her first goal was definitely against the play at the time. She just busted the place open and ran through and took her shot. And again, just worked the ball forward, kept her head and shoulders in line with the footy, took it with her, kicked a goal. Neatly done.
So looking like it could be a long final term coming up for South Fremantle. They fought hard in the first half, stayed within touch, but this third quarter has busted the game wide open, and we're inside the last 15 seconds of the term. Silcock over the football will get a free kick. Probably won't have enough time to take the kick, or at least do too much with it. There is the siren to end a 7-goal third quarter for East Fremantle. They kicked 7 goals, 1 in the term. South didn't score, and it's the Sharks by 70 points at three-quarter time. Lewis has kicked 4, Spark and Burton have kicked 2. Meanwhile, Wong, Versace have kicked the other goals for the Sharks. They lead it by 70 points. 1 quarter to go in the round 1 clash here for WAFLW. East Fremantle 70-0.
The V6 twin-turbo rear-wheel drive Kia Stinger. It took 7 years to create and 4.9 seconds to understand why.
Dad!
Oh, sorry.
I just went.
It's funny.
Dad!
Party purpose.
Bring your family together. Introducing Optus Family Plan with 4 SIMs and 250 gigs of data to share.
If you need it live streamed, you need Front Row Screens. Visit frontrowscreens.com.au.
Highlights here from the third quarter. A quarter dominated by East Fremantle, and in particular Sarah Lewis, who you can see celebrating there. That was her 3rd goal. In fact, no, that was her 2nd goal. She added another couple before three-quarter time. She has 4. And the Sharks have 11. 11-4-70. They lead South Fremantle, who are yet to score. First game for the Bulldogs in WAFLW. And of course, this is season number 2. A big goal celebration from Sarah Lewis, who is enjoying her first game for East Fremantle, having crossed over from Subiaco in the off-season. And those 2 teams will meet next week, which should be a fascinating game. The Sharks hosting the Lions next Sunday. South Fremantle will get a crack at Peel Thunder next week. Clermont and Swans will meet. Should be an interesting battle as well down at Tigerland. Dave Lindsay and Clint Degebrot in commentary. Steph Sparks been one of the better players on the ground, and there's probably been a lot more that you could add to that list from East Fremantle, Degs.
Well, the forwards for East Fremantle have been terrific because they haven't been greedy. They've kept their space. They've made themselves really hard to defend, and they've put pressure on the opposition. So Russell's been terrific. Spencer's been terrific for the Bullies, but she hasn't had it easy. She hasn't been able to run with the ball, which she looks like she'd like to do. So they've really done the job well today. Backs haven't been tested, but the mids have won everything in front of them. And, of course, as we mentioned, the forwards have been terrific.
East Fremantle huddle has
I'm impressed with Maddie Ross.
Yeah? Strong tackling. Always has her eye on the footy. She's been camped underneath a few balls like this one, and that was a mark. I called that in play. No one else touched it, but the umpire decided there must have been a touch in there somewhere.
The Souths, they were nice. They'd let her handball it. that mark there from Sparks on the far side of 50, that brought on that kick, the big long kick to the fat side of the ground, which landed on Catalano's chest, and that really, really busted the dam. What are those things? Dam doors?
Walls?
Dam balls? Dam walls. That really split the place open when that happened, because I think that broke some of the spirit of the players for South Fremantle, who had been really defending hard.
So the East Fremantle huddle getting their final instructions before they go out there for the final term. South Fremantle were very laid out onto the field at the end of the halftime break. They got the hurry up from the timekeeper a couple of times, and then pretty much ran out of the gates and then straight into position to start the third term. Didn't help them a whole lot. They were left stranded that entire third quarter. 7-0. It's the Sharks really piled it on. They're at least a couple down on the bench. We saw an injury to Roden Zimdale and also to Cara Turley. Could only count the 18 players when we had a look there at the three-quarter time break as well for South Fremantle. So a few injury issues for the Bulldogs.
Just got a couple of text messages. I think Spencer's got a bit of an online following already. A couple of texts just talking about how well she's playing today. Having said that, she's getting some opportunity.
Happy to talk her game up. She stood firm in defence and she's been under a lot of pressure down there. Always going to get a lot of looks at the football when you're playing in defence for South Fremantle today.
She's it's intercept marking that I'm impressed with.
She's done well.
Really, really secure the ball to chest. I think Bo McDonald, who's coaching obviously the South Fremantle side, there's plenty here for them to get out of this game. Firstly, it's the first time at this pace. It's against last year's premier with a really, really good game plan and really good fundamental skills. They pick the ball up on the run, they kick, they catch. So if Souths can just get a couple of clearances, if their mattress, if their KPIs for the quarter is let's get 3 clearances, let's get a couple of intercept marks and 2 inside 50s, they can go home, review and have a little look for next week to see how they can improve, because there's simple ways to improve, I think, for Souths, which is just being a bit more focused on connecting in midfield, which is almost the hardest part of the game, particularly under pressure. So it's not an easy thing to do.
A nice day down here at Fremantle Oval. A little bit chilly, as it often is at this time of the year down at the Port. Sharks well positioned to finish this one off strongly. The wingers in front of us here, Elle Sanders for South Fremantle and Leah Kakamo. Did a bit of research, didn't we, at halftime? Got the correct pronunciation.
Got the East Fremantle statistician to help us out.
So Leah Kakamo's done some good things, and so too Ellie Sanders. She likes to run and a jump at the footy. She's got plenty of spring in those legs. She'll be charging in off the wing at the start of this final quarter. Demi Broadhurst in the ruck to go against Kimberly Bowie again, as they have done for most of the day. Broadhurst wins that down. Bowie does her own roving. She's bumped off the footy. Following up was Bickmore. She was pushed in the back, and the advantage is paid as they go forward, wide out towards half forward. Nicely done by Higgins. Hits up the target, and South with a promising build-up here. Hannah Felton with the football. Chips directly over the player on the mark. No one really coming at the ball. Still a chance, though, through Hurd. Now the Sharks arrive in plenty of number, and they'll hold it up for a ball up. 40 out from goal for South. Let's see what they can conjure up here. And they find some connection between their ruck and their smaller players.
Cara Pekov's a dangerous player. Hurd brings that to ground inside 450s, which would be exactly what she's after. East's defence just links up very, very well here and ends up with Kakamo. The pressure comes on from South Fremantle. Bends over to pick that up and tells the umpire I don't have it. They can hear it through the effects mic. I don't have it. The umpire says, I totally agree. You never had that. It's Broadhurst. Had an argument for 50 there too from Bowie. Kick at the leading player is okay. Gets a good jump at the ball. Probably drew that very nicely by holding it ground rather than running under it. Was Higgins. Crafty little move there. Just drew the foul from Lily Bird. Ball forward. Cara Petkov over the back. She just waits it, reads it, hits her on the chest. Now, she can kick the ball a long way.
Well, she's telling the player on the mark where to stand, and she's walking back very deliberately as if she's going for home.
I'm not going to say she can kick the ball 50 metres, but she's a lovely strike of the ball. She's a really good mover. She's got a good football brain. Think her way through this. Is it a shot or is it a layup or is it a little connection? She has the honour of taking the first shot for South Fremantle in their WAFLW history. It hits the square. Roving at the front was clever. Just couldn't quite break through. It's now Maddie Ross who picks the ball up and gets whacked across the shoulder. And we'll get to spread this ball from defence. Sharks have spread quickly, although outlet cover is provided by Vecchio. Vecchio brings the ball back into the corridor. Mystery ball. It's Karapetkov again. She's got to get this over her shoulder. She's ripped off the football. The umpire rightly says holding the ball. Sharks will look to go quickly now. Souths at the moment are hanging on. They've got the perimeter guarded well. Force some slow play. Looks for the centre. Wong unmarked. He moves the ball quickly too, looking out wide. Bouncing the ball free on the wing out there. It's landed in the hands of Cocking. Can't quite do enough with it to get her team going her way again. Ducking what would have been a fierce tackle was Tinson. It's in the hands of Ross and now forward. Sharks working. This is Burton, exciting player to Versace. Starting to break open in front, hanging on tight. Dumped after the kick, unfortunately. Catalona got the ball anyway. Got what might have been a little accidental clip.
It's going to be 50 as well.
Yeah, well, she'd marked it, then she was bumped. Catalana probably had that without any of the free kicks, but I guess it was a collision, wasn't it? You're not entitled to touch the player after she's been paid the mark, and Catalano does the job. And Souths, unfortunately, after some really good work, got the ball forward to 50, slowed East Randall's travel, unfortunately. A little bit of ill discipline off the ball. Accidental 50, and Catalano gets her second. That's the 11th goal of the 12th goal of the game. So 12-0 at this stage, 70 points to the Sharks. What was quite an exciting little build-up to the first shot of goal from South Fremantle. It's actually slung shot
the length of the field.
The length of the field, and East Fremantle were able to score quite easily in the end.
Bit of a concern for Burton as well, who's being escorted off the field by a couple of trainers. Now, with these rules, where players have set positions to start, she's actually out of position at the moment, which is an interesting one. I'm not sure the umpires are going to wait for her to go off the field. No, ready to start.
If they're not going to wait, then she's definitely out of position.
I would have thought that's a reset and she almost has to walk through the 50, doesn't she? So anyway, we've restarted the game, and it's going East Fremantle's way slightly, although here go the Bulldogs. Sanders with a socker into space. She's got to chase her own footy. She might have to sock her again. She's worked off it nicely. Catalano's been impressive. Used the ball well until then. Lets you down every time when that happens. And Broadhurst getting in the way. He's also shown some decent signs from time to time. Chips it in very short. That didn't carry, despite the fact that the Bulldog there wanted to claim the mark in Vecchio. She's tangled up with Tinson, and the umpire's picked up a free kick going to Inglis Hodge. She wants to move it on quickly. Kicks to Lewis, who's got 4 Bulldogs down there for company. Knocks over one of them, wins the footy. She's crashed into and taken to ground by Taylor, and we'll see a ball up between the front edge of the centre square and the 50-metre arc for East Fremantle. They're leading by 76 points. Bowie in the ruck, wins it down towards Inglis Hodge. She's over the footy, can't get it out. It spills out the side to Wong, who wants to dance through a number of red and white jumpers. She was stopped in her tracks that time, and we'll reset again.
Fair to say the players are starting to tire, starting to fall on the ball a little bit. Bowie's been heroic in the ruck today. It's in the hands of Tinson, who braces for contact and receives it. Shea Selby smashed her into the ground, then helped her up, and both players are smiling. One of the better things about WAFLW football, I find, is how hard they go at each other and how much they enjoy each other's company. Point rubbing anyone's face in the dirt. Really dirty ball here at the top of 50 for the Sharks, although finding a way is brilliant. Ducking and weaving was Ross. Got her handball away in the end. Probably got away without losing any teeth as well. Spat forward now by the Sharkies, but it's going to come back to Sprillian. Sneaking away was Catalano, and why not? So it'll be Sprillian at the top of 50. Plenty going on. Sharks have got the rear position here. It looks like they're going to come charging at the footy, as Chloe Riley does now. Front of the ball. Brilliant is going to look to go sideways now. Maddie Ross is unguarded, so she gets to start this again. Chloe Riley's short on. Lewis I'd be looking for. Goes in her direction. There's plenty of Souths in her way. She tries to get from 3 deep. Vaughan Taylor did pretty well to have that in her hands in the end. Random handball forward's going to suit the Sharks. Little back feed will happen here. Does. Ball going back in again through Trippy. And it's Chloe Riley, who's been standing there for quite a while. Couldn't quite get the ball to carry. She cuts through, uses her right foot to swing it around the corner. She got enough on it. She has. She'll be picked up, and that's what we've been looking for all day long. Wonderful strike from Chloe Riley, who held her position for more than 20 seconds, did not get sucked to the play, eventually spilled the ball through, cut through into the corridor, pulled it over her shoulder, and a great snag.
Very much typical forward pocket style footy, wasn't it? Just knew where the space was, hung in there for a long time. No Bulldogs wanted to go anywhere near her. She was happy to hang out there, probably knowing that there was every chance her teammates were going to win the football up the field, which gives you that opportunity to play that sneaky role rather than try to cover an opponent on the way out. So good finish from her. It hasn't quite been her day, but she still managed to get on the score sheet, which is great for her.
You know how runners aren't supposed to coach on the ground? I've just watched some elite coaching from one of the runners on the ground at the moment. Dead set scoreboard lesson. She had chalk and a blackboard out and everything. It was wonderful.
So Alston's in the ruck now for East Fremantle. She wins that tap. Here goes Ross. Fast feet working through the traffic. High kick to half forward. Not sure it was intended exactly for Catalano, but it's certainly shaped nicely for her. She takes the mark. Has Riley in short again, offering a lead. A bit longer is Versace now. She's used the width of the ground, spread it very nicely. Finds Gomes. Probably needed to go straight away to Versace. Decided not to. Instead, sits it up nice and high for all the high leapers to come at it. Selby was underneath the drop of the ball. Lewis pushing and shoving, gets rid of an opponent, then tries to work it out. Slapping it out Selby towards her goal that she's defending. Taylor works her way through the crush and then clears it straight to Kakamo. And they'll reload once more. South Fremantle have a wall of players set up about 30 metres out from the goal they're defending, so the kick doesn't go in that direction. In fact, it's touched in the end. Vecchio with the clearing kick towards the wing, and again, East Fremantle have all their numbers here, although they didn't work that one too well between Trippy and Plushke. Support from Wong. She's worked off the football, and we'll see a ball up right in front of our broadcast position. East Fremantle 13 goals for. South Fremantle still looking for their first score in WAFLW League footy.
Vecchio tries to get a run at that. Can't quite find the handle. Someone does now. Chop forward. Shape in front of the ball's okay here for South and get through, but it's Kakamo again, who's had a day today. She chips in short and finds Sprillian. Sprillian has a runner on the far side. Looks like Norrish. Norrish can catch it and go. Does. Looks for Lewis further ahead. Lewis on the stretch. Takes it overhead nice and clean. It looks good in front of the ball. There's sharks everywhere. A little bit of slow play is probably giving Souths a chance to get back, and Shea Selby's in the way. Versace over the top. Selby does enough, and they fall on the ball together. Now, Selby doesn't get that position there, and I think Versace takes that catch, and she kicks their 14th. Good defensive work, working really hard. Lewis just gave him a little bit of time to set up. Nice fast ball in was Versace's. Tap down from Shea Selby now. She's now doing the ruck work. Kakamo holding outlet position. Can't quite complete the mark. Trippy comes in to help. Got a back feet option again, or two as a matter of fact. Kakamo paddling the ball forward. It's brilliant now. Another back feet option was Alston. She's got the footy. Right foot tumbling ball into 50. Chloe Riley just steps one way, then the other. She's having another shot. Hand on the ball. It's nice and deep though. It's going to be Sparks down there. If she can turn you, she'll take a shot for sure. Professional fall over. Little professional tug of the short. Out of bounds in the pocket.
Riley's definitely got a taste for it now, hasn't she? Every time she picks it up.
She juked the ball. She juked the opponent there without moving. She just did a little flex. That was enough to throw her opponent off the line.
Yeah, free kick's been paid here to Spark.
That might have been. The
deliberate or the tug on the shorts.
Could have been the tug on the shorts, but now Sparks likes this, and she can do these kicks. So we've talked about how well she kicks the ball. She's gone for probably the hardest kick she could have in that situation. Didn't get enough on it. Spilled forward of the play now in the hands of Versace, who gets a push in the middle of the back. Oh, and gets done for deliberate. She definitely made more of the push than there was.
Yeah,
but
I don't know that in the forward pocket you deliberately paddle it over for a boundary throw, but the umpire decided that she did. So.
What about if I told you that you bring the ball 10 metres and throw it at the top of the square? I don't reckon.
True.
I don't reckon it's a bad option.
It's a good option.
Not clearing the 50 with that kick, asking lots of the defenders again from South. Ball going in through Kakamo again. Shea Selby cast to stand under it. Can't complete the mark. Hands of Versace. First fumble of the day. Bowled over by Taylor. A wrestle on the ground again. She manages to get a kick out of this somehow. It's going to come running out of defence from South Fremantle. Ball favours Trippy. Ducks. She probably have given Pryor with that first duck. Had a right to try and go back in. Stretching the game out now is South Fremantle. Plays on immediately. Kicks it to Haley O'Donnell effectively, who can actually set up a thrust on the far side of the ground. Little fumble. She's got time. drives the ball forward by foot. Didn't look. South Fremantle rebound.
With a clearing kick out towards the wing. Leading the race is Cocking. She's got problems now, though. Tackled. She gets the kick away just in time. East Fremantle with the extra numbers coming across through Alston. A couple of attempts to pick it up. Eventually does so on the third. Well tackled. Got the hand pass away, and East Fremantle can set up, although that kick's not in the direction they would have liked. We joked a bit before, Degs, about scraps that we've seen between East Fremantle and South Fremantle in the men's game. Just saw a good one between Versace and Taylor off the ball. And the umpire was watching it pretty closely, waiting to see what was going to actually break out. Here's Lewis now. Couldn't take that mark. A couple of players go into soccer. Lewis falls heavily. Got net pretty solidly. Definite hold on the arm there, going the way of East Fremantle, and Chloe Riley, who is up and about in this last quarter, is going to have a set shot. And within her range, I would have thought.
No one should be leading because she's a good kick at the football.
So a very deliberate approach. Chloe Riley, you can see the concentration on the face. And she comes in and sends this goalward. It's spinning beautifully off the boot. It never looked like missing. Well, things didn't quite pan out her way in the first 3 quarters, but it's opened up for her in the last, and she's kicked the last 2 goals of the game. And East Fremantle, their kicking for goal has been exceptional today. 14 goals for. South Fremantle yet to trouble the scorers. And we've still got 6.5 minutes of play to go in round 1 here, WAFLW live stream.
It's just time for Souths just to play this game out. Now it's really hard to play in this situation. So East Fremantle are fatiguing. They're starting to kick the ball without really any structural form until they get into that forward 50. So Souths just need to stay 1v1 here and just try to halve each of these contests to finish this game off. Warning now, just a bit of a miscommunication between the wingers and halfbacks at Souths. All set now. Rucks go at it. Anna Alston loses the tap to an East Fremantle player. Driving forward now. Again, a South Fremantle. Trying to go through, but that handball again doesn't help in those situations. It's just a transference of pressure. Kick there helps. It's Maddie Ross. She steps through. She's looking for a handball, but it's a 5-metre hands of Vecchio. Now with Trippy, trying to find a connection across the ground. Play on not 15. Handball to the ruckman as she started to roll down there, and Tyrell didn't quite know what to do. Takes a chest mark. Looking forward for Lewis. Looking forward, looks like Taylor. Taylor's got one over the shoulder there. Warren a freebie for a South Fremantle player at the top of 50 in this situation. So thinking about a coast-to-coast goal. Finish with some excitement. It's Chloe Riley under all that. She's been done for holding the ball. Tash Vaughan Taylor, who's actually battled manfully down the back there, or humanfully. Doesn't quite translate. She's been a competitive human being today. In the hands now of Hurd. Done some decent things. She's looking for a runner, but Maddie Ross has covered the ground really well. Good spoil in the end from South Fremantle in the hands of Plushke. Back with Ross again. She's had it 30 times this quarter. Off to Versace. She's had it 25 times this quarter. She's looking into the pocket and she finds Sparks, who takes it out in front of her face. And she's looking for Riley. Streaming down the ground is Marnie Alston. Riley's just owned this pocket. Sparks is a decent leg from here. She gets it to the square. Pack forms. It's Alston. Over the back. Alston one grab. Not the second. Oh, it's actually being paid to South Fremantle down there in Tyrell. Quite deep enough, brings Lily Bird into the game. She's a dangerous small forward as well. Didn't quite have it there. The South Fremantle player will get the kick.
Lily's got that name that you feel like you have to say both of her names.
Yes, she does.
Can't just call her Bird. She has to be Lily Bird.
Lily Bird. That's Silcock there. Just a really nice connection forward of the ground. Looks to be in the hands of Spencer. Spencer on the far side. Just a patient build-up. Lots of sharks around the ball and floating into the front. Centre half back, the old school terms. It's Trippy, very solid defender. She's looking to spread and does. Spreads long and wide. Finds Plushke, who kicks it into the man on the mark.
Looks like you're counting down, I reckon, Degs.
There's
seen enough.
Yeah. I think we need to get out of this game now with no further injuries and get everyone in the ice bath and everyone happy and healthy for round 2.
There was a couple of injuries earlier today for South Fremantle. I think East Fremantle have a clean bill of health at this stage. They might have another goal coming up.
Wonderful play from Wong.
Spotting up Spark out wide. Play on the mark's gone over. She's quickly called back. Top. In a good position there. Unable to take it was Catalano. Might be able to recover. Was there interference? I think there was in the shepherding attempt from Lewis.
He's dangerous
to go on with it.
Catalano's dangerous.
This one in. Does well. Gives it off to Tinson. Centering kick to the top of the goal square. Riley worked underneath the ball. Spark at the back is a threat again. In the pocket, Kakamo. Wong, in fact, she's taken by Sprillian. Concedes some ground to Gomes, who shrugs the treatment was going to come from behind.
Selby's role now seems to be
not. It's coming back again, though. Ross has it just too far out to score. There's a lot of South Fremantle numbers. In fact, all but 3 players back inside the 50. Lewis comes up to meet the footy. Can't quite finish that one off. She's got 4 goals. She wouldn't mind a handful before the end of the game. She's got a minute to go to see whether she can sneak a 5th goal.
Yeah, the time the players are taking to get up off the ground now shows it's game 1. It's Tinson who should be tied. She's worked tirelessly today. Wong into the hands. Taylor wraps her up. Once Wong slips out, there's no catching out, so it's a pretty good option to get her early. Another boundary, or another ball up inside 50. Plenty of decent players around this box. Third in the end, gets that ball out. The hands of the skipper. Carries it up to the wing, puts it into the path of Felton. Can't quite get the handle, Felton. She's attracted a bit of a crowd of Sharks too. Neat little bit of work out on the very far side of the ground as this tumble forward. Coming up to meet it really bravely, there was Holtz. Can't quite too much. Tinson's parrying the legs again. She gets through one tackle, through the other. Spills this to Sprillian. Sprillian across to Riley. Riley chips the ball over to Lewis. She's found a little hole, Lewis. She just had to complete the catch. She couldn't quite do it. She took some heavy work from behind. She's going to have the most fun in the ice bar tonight because she's going to be in there for a damn good reason. Her feet and legs are sore. Her hands are sore because she's had the ball in her hands and she's kicked herself a bag in round 1.
So a big win to East Fremantle to start their premiership defence. 14-4-88 have defeated South Fremantle, who failed to score this afternoon. The Sharks kicked 7 goals in the 3rd quarter. Kicked 3 in the last to really make a big day of it here for East Fremantle. They've reversed the result of the men's derby from yesterday, which was a thumping victory for South Fremantle against East Fremantle, and it's gone the other direction in the women's match. As expected, we did expect that East Fremantle probably would be too strong. As I said, reigning champs playing against the new team in the competition. And South worked hard. They did the best they could, but East Fremantle were always going to be a little bit too strong today. 14-4-88 to no score. Lewis with 4 goals, kicked all 4 before 3-quarter time. Riley with 2 in the last quarter. Catalano kicked a couple in the second half as well. Burton kicked 2. Spark also 2 goals. Versace and Wong kicked 1 goal each. And it's been a big day for the Blue and Whites as we look at some of the highlights from the last quarter. And that player there, number 14, Caitlin Catalano. First time I've seen her, and she was very impressive, Dex.
Yeah, she's going to have an impact on this season, that's for sure. She's fit, she's fast. She finds a couple of different spaces. She threatens around. She holds great position and shape around contests forward. She can take a mark too, overhead and on the chest, so reads the play really nicely. Coach talked her up before the game, said, watch how fast she is. Well, she's not just fast, I think she's very clever too.
She's featuring in just about every highlight here from the last quarter, so fitness isn't an issue either. She was very good early in the game and also very good late in the game. Unfortunately for the Bulldogs, not able to open their account today on the scoreboard, but a couple of their players, particularly in defence, stood out. We like the look of Brianne Spencer in particular, who took a number of intercept marks. The ball was down there a lot, but would have been pretty easy to curl the toes up today and say this is all too hard, but she certainly didn't do that.
Well, I think you have a look at the work of the wingers today from the Sharkies. Made it really hard for the Bulldogs. You had Kakamo and Ross controlling these wings, getting behind the ball. A couple of them took different turns to control those outlets. South just couldn't travel once it had gone in East Fremantle's 50. There's plenty to like about what Souths are going to be able to do. They just need to probably inject a whole heap of kids in now. They need to get some of those youngsters that can run and kick and carry, and then what they have to do is work on their connections at the front side of the box. It's a normal thing for a new team and a team under pressure to just surge kick the ball after you get past the half. I think there's some decent signs there for South as long as they review that game really well and say this is what we need to keep doing, which is our defensive half work, and we just need to work on the front of the box and launch pad work.
Thanks for your work today, Degs. Always good to be in commentary with you for WAFL Women's Footy. There's the South Fremantle side that's having a little bit of a team chat. Here's the East Fremantle song as well. Sarah Lewis right in the middle of that one, copped an absolute drenching from one of the water bottles there, and there were a couple of others.
Hopefully it was one with her name and number on it, because
I've been watching that in the AFL when the guys get given the Powerade and they take a few sips and then pour the rest over. I'm not sure that's exactly what we're after in this COVID environment, but Sarah Lewis, he said she'll be heading for the ice bath. Well, she's drenched in water at the moment anyway. Great start to her time at East Fremantle with 4 goals today. She'll get a crack at her old side next week. East Fremantle take on Subiaco. South will take on Peel. The other game will be Claremont and Swan Districts, but it's been the Sharks today. Far too good for South Fremantle. Winners by 88 points. Join us again next week for more WAFLW action.
This WAFLW live stream is brought to you by Optus, proud naming rights partner of the Waffle and the WAFLW. The rear-wheel drive V6 twin-turbo Kia Stinger. Simply Energy, proudly supporting WA footy. And the West Coast Eagles, supporting WA female footballers to follow their dreams.